Recently, I've been doing a research on air quality, atmospheric pollutants, and comparing all the regulations in Nigeria and studying relevant books on environmental. One of it is Environmental Protection Law and Practice by Uthman and published by Malthouse Law Books. So it's been interesting to see some gaps that we have in the Nigerian law as regards to air pollution and how it is being handled. And I thought to look at second-hand vehicles, not only second-hand vehicles, including other equipment that come into Nigeria, contributing to the pollution profile, air pollution profile. So even equipment from the energy power generating stations and even aircraft and other self-propelled vehicles. So this study is really interesting, and I thought to share some of my some findings that I found on the lacuna in the legal framework for air quality. So Rich Flood International is a firm I work for. It's an environmental and social consultancy firm in Nigeria and in other African countries, but this broadcast is coming from the Nigerian office, and my name is Comfort Asokoro Ogaji. So looking at we undertake environmental impact assessment, environmental monitoring through the Rich Flood Laboratory, and effluent monitoring as well. And we monitor rivers, streams to see how healthy they are for communities to use as their source of water. You know, some people use the streams as the source of their potable water, and some of them we get to see that they are contaminated and it's not good, it's not fit for drinking, and we get to talk with the regulatory agencies to do the right thing. But this small talk I'm having is not on effluent, it's not on water pollution, it's on air quality. So I would go straight to the most interesting clause that I found in the NESRA Act, and I will discuss it and then we can. Okay, so the legal framework for air quality, I found this S22 of NESRA Act interesting, and that's why I am shooting it. You know, even though the NESRA Act listed energy, power generating solutions, aircraft, and other self-propelled vehicles as sources of air pollution, regulations are yet to be made regulating air pollution from these sources. You know, so considering atmospheric pollutants emitted from these sources and other sources not dealt with by the Act, it is lamentable that regulations are yet to be made to regulate them. With regard to automobiles as a source of atmospheric pollution, lack of regulation has led to a situation in which Nigeria has become a dumping ground for second-hand vehicles, popularly known as Belgium and Tokumbo. This was revealed through my studies and through this environmental protection law and practice that I'm reading by Usman. So these second-hand vehicles emit oil atmospheric pollutants with impunity because no law exists fixing emissions limits for them. The need for a comprehensive legislation on emission of atmospheric pollutants from all sources can hardly be overemphasized, you know, because regard being had to their harmful effects on human, animal welfare and plants is enormous, and I think it is being played down right now. This is actually a call I'm making, you know, as my personal person, not as Rich Flood, that these agencies should please look into these challenges and see possibilities that we can, you know, steps we can take to make sure that these problems are mitigated against, and if possible, some additional laws, like I have just mentioned earlier, is promulgated to be able to slow down some of these happenings in Nigeria. Though S22, which I am shooting, of the NESRA Act provides that the agency may establish monitoring stations or network to locate sources of atmospheric pollution and determine their actual or potential danger. You know, with a narrow legal framework base such as the one provided by NESRA Act, the above proactive provision affords little practical utility. So this perhaps explains why no such monitoring stations have been established by the agencies. So the inadequacies of the Nigerian legal framework for atmospheric protection is better appreciated against the background of the legal regime in the US and UK on sources of atmospheric pollution common to the three countries. With regard to the motor vehicle emission, US law on atmospheric pollution is that new vehicles with new engines or old vehicles with new engines have an emission standard fixed for the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. I'm talking about EPA, the US EPA. Old vehicles with old engines or new vehicles with old engines can only ply the roads after they are being certified by the law, and after they are being certified by a particular board called the low emission certification board, headed by the EPA administrator, that they are low emission vehicles. Until this is done, until they are certified, they cannot ply the road as they wish. So with regard to aircraft emissions as well, the administrator is required by law to conduct investigations of emissions of air pollutants from an aircraft alleged to be emitting excess atmospheric pollutants. The investigation is to determine the extent of such emissions, and the impacts on air quality and the technological feasibility of controlling such emissions. So the EPA administrator shall then publish a report of his findings and issue proposed emission standards for the investigated aircraft. I'm reading from this book, Environmental Protection Law and Practice in Nigeria. So the administrator shall then publish a report. It is after then a public hearing also holds to determine the acceptability of the proposed standard. So control of air pollution in the UK, we are comparing the Nigeria, the UK and the US. So that of the UK has been decentralized, with most of the pollution regulations being enforced by local authorities. Under the Clean Air Act 1993, like we all know, a local authority has power to declare that either the whole or a part of an area is a smoke control area. Under the same act, it is criminal offense to emit dark smoke from the chimney of any building, not to talk of what is being experienced right now in the Niger Delta area. So the law in the UK also prescribes limits for the content of sulfur and lead in petrol. This is a major issue. On the issue of straw, stubble and biomass burning, UK law restricts and prohibits, in appropriate cases, the burning of agricultural crop residues as well. Odor and atmospheric pollution is also strictly regulated in the UK under the 1990 Environmental Protection Act and the local authorities' air pollution control regimes. So it is difficult to be able to understand what should be done when you are comparing these three countries. But of course, Nigeria has its provisions, which I will bring in the next module of this air quality framework, legal framework generally, and then narrow it down to Nigeria. Of course, there is problem of lack of transportation in Nigeria recently. The need for atmospheric protection levels in Nigeria in respect of pollutants from automobile sources similar to that in the US can hardly be overemphasized. Regard being had to the cooperative age of automobiles in the two countries. So the railway so human being really have to take the air available to it at every minute, be it good or bad. We just have to breathe in air. Herein lies the urgency of effective legal regulation of air pollution sources. We just have to, speaking from the point of anthropocentric benefits, the importance of an adequate legal regime on air quality can hardly be overemphasized because of the importance of air to man. It is scientifically established that an average human being requires about 30 pounds of air a day, about 6 pints every minute, and he has to take this air as it comes. He will not readily stand in a sewage or drink dirty water, yet daily The individual draws 26,000 breaths between 18 and 22 each minute, many of which, if not all, is filthy. This is an emergency in Nigeria. Prevention of air and atmospheric pollution or its reduction through enforcement of an adequate and effective legal regime on air and atmospheric pollution will no doubt improve health in the country, thereby helping the nation's economy. It is true, health is money. This money comes from work. A healthy population, is a working population, and a working population is an economy booster, is an economy boosting population. This statement was made by Usman Kuyuka. What is more, foreign exchange lost through medical trips abroad will be conserved, further boosting the economy if we deal with this legal lacuna that we have, the framework for air quality. So I would let you go now, and I will post some links in this video so that you can also lay your hands on the resource material from which I am drawing my argument, and then we can both rub minds. I will read your comments and I will comment also. Let me know what you think about the legal regime in Nigeria when it comes to air quality protection and when it comes to monitoring the source of pollution and dealing with them. Thank you very much. Until another time, please send us emails on info@richfloor.com if you have some contributions or you have a specific case study you would want us to work with you on, and then